he sets up on the bike, and his spine is like pretty straight. Like, I love the technique of that, and I try to coach that whenever I'm coaching younger riders. He sets on the bike. It's very easy. Everything, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I've been coaching for years, and I still can't get it out.
Trying to get the words out. Yeah.
But it all has to do like with having a straighter back, rotating your hips forward a little bit, and just like not stressing your lower back. When you round your back when you ride, like, it really takes a lot of energy out of it. It really tires you out. He's fluid that way.
Oh, Justin Cooper. I don't know if it's fluid, but it's definitely fast. You can see he is booking around this Unadilla track.
Did you just say booking?
Booking.
I haven't heard that since like 1979. Nobody's ever said that.
I'm trying to make it 90s.
Yeah.
Feel comfortable in
He
here.
was booking.
Yeah, putting it in your era. So, okay, he's hauling right now.
Yeah.
Blazing.
But think about it. His fast lap in the first qualifying practice was 2:14. Everybody else was 2:16 and above. Right now, our best lap is at 2:16.
Oh, but no, Jett just clocked in. 2:14.4. He just took it away from
Literally,
Cooper's first time. Hey, we're here to we're here to mess you up.
Looks like Hunter Lawrence is booking also.
Yep. Well, let's see if Cooper can take it back here. So now the track has gotten to the point where they're matching the speeds that they had in the first qualifying session.
Yeah. Well, I got a little something with some stats and some lap time stuff that I was working on. I'm going to save it for the 450s here coming up. So
still working on it.
After this one, take a break, do what you got to do, get yourself a cold drink, and then we're going to talk some more lap time stuff once the premier riders in the 450 class come up here in just a little bit.
I cannot believe I'm looking at some chicken scratch here, and you got numbers and notes and math and everything from.
Stop looking at my work.
Unbelievable.
Hey, unbelievable is Justin Cooper right now. I mean, got some hand guards on, which I like, because you see all the rocks in the track. Like, the dirt's all dark. All those light specks you see are little round rocks. They're like golf balls, essentially.
How's that feel?
It's not, I almost said it. It's not good.
Yeah, okay. Nicely done.
You wear a chest protector here. You definitely have to. But, I mean, you know, and also the thing about pro motocross these days is when you talk about horsepower and torque, you know, back in the days, we had the 125, 250, 500, and the two-strokes. Well, nowadays, the 250 and the 450 are more like a 250 and 500 would have been. So on a 125, you could ride here without a chest protector. Not anymore. Especially when, if the riders have those new, like, scoop tires that they have. Like, you know, I'm probably not using that here today, but that combined with the 450, there's a lot of roost that comes out. And this track is really fast now, too. So it's more incentive to get the whole shot, if you ask me.
So it was a 2:15 from Cooper, and that's not good enough to take that spot back. He's second overall because of his 2:14 from earlier today. But the lap you watched, he made a mistake about 3 turns from the finish line, and that was a little bit costly. So right now it's Jett Lawrence's 2:14.4. That is the top time at Unadilla, but a little bit of time left for Cooper to make another run at it. Let's send it back down to Jason Thomas.
So, guys, you've been talking about the second practice here, having really quick lap times, and I think that is a result of the track being a little bit harder today. You're not getting those big bumps and those deep ruts to slow the track down, so you're getting a lot of parity between the 2 qualifying sessions, which really isn't that typical.
Thanks, JT. So 250 qualifying continues here from upstate New York, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. And we'll see who ends up with the top qualifying time. Got to take a quick break here on MAV TV. We'll be right back from Unadilla. Unadilla founder Ward Robinson is motocross. The track he founded with his wife Peg is the only venue still on the schedule from the inaugural season 50 years ago. And some of the most significant races in American motocross history were held on this hallowed ground. From 1977 to 1992, Unadilla would welcome the world 15 times as the host venue for the 250 United States Grand Prix. And the track would also host the 1987 Motocross of Nations, the first ever held in America. Early this week, Ward Robinson passed away at the age of 85. He is survived by his daughters Jill and Linda and his son Greg. who have still worked tirelessly this week, even in their time of mourning, to ensure that this year's Unadilla National would honor one of the AMA Championship's great founders. Today, our broadcast of the Parts Unlimited Unadilla National is dedicated to Ward Robinson and his legacy of contributions to the sport of motocross. Godspeed. The Monster Energy fastest qualifier powered by Motocross. Hello.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
We are back, Unadilla Valley Sports Center and the Parts Unlimited Unadilla National. 250 qualifying is a wrap, and Jett Lawrence, a late burner, way out front. Send it to Jason Thomas.
Jett Lawrence, your fastest qualifier. Now, it's not that normal to see a lap time that much quicker in the second time out. Did you feel like it was that much better, or did you just get a good one in there?
I just got a clear lap. Some of the lines were a little bit better than the first one. Was pretty flat, and it was pretty one line. So yeah, then I was so happy with the 14. Then the last lap, just everything just kind of clicked and went together really nicely. So happy about that. Just gonna try and make sure we can get stay close to that lap time in the motos, and I should be good.
Jett Lawrence with a 2:12. I don't think anybody else is going to want to see that lap time when they get back to their truck.
Almost 2 seconds up on everyone else. That is your Monster Energy fastest qualifier, powered by Motocross. Good job by Jett Lawrence. So much talk about the Justin Cooper qualifying fast lap speed, but Jett threw something down. You don't normally see a 1.7 second gap.
No, and here I was starting to think that the track was not going to be as quick as first qualifying practice, and he just blew that out.
We'll have all 4 motos live on MAV TV today. You can also watch MAV TV on FloRacing if you want to stream it, starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And don't forget our post-race show, Inside Pro Motocross, 5:30 p.m. Tuesday evening on MAV TV. This Eastern time we're going by. As we honor the great champions of this sport's past, Danny LaPorte, one of the most influential figures in American motocross. During his career, he was a trailblazer, especially on the international stage, and a standard bearer for motocross around the world. Danny LaPorte was a leading figure in taking American motocross from also-ran to world leader. He was part of an industry youth movement in 1975 when he joined Team Suzuki for the 76th season, giving in their first ever AMA win in the 125 class and finishing third in the standings. In 1977, he came up short of a 125 title in one of the closest finishes in history. At the season finale in Texas, Yamaha used team tactics, instructing Bob Hanna to move over on the final lap to give teammate Brock Glover additional points. The win assured Glover and LaPorte would be tied, and the Golden Boy won the tiebreaker with more wins. But LaPorte got his national title in 1979 when he moved up to the 500 class and earned a bit of revenge on Yamaha as he bested the late Mike Bell by 3 points to claim the crown. In 1981, LaPorte moved to Honda and became part of one of the most important moments in American motocross as he joined teammates Chuck Sun, Donnie Hansen, and Johnny O'Mara in capturing the first Motocross of Nations crown for Team USA. His success against Europe's best inspired LaPorte to take on his next challenge, racing in the MXGP World Championship for Yamaha. He delivered the 1982 250 World Championship just weeks after Brad Lackey had won the 500 World title. For the first time ever, Americans had become world champions. LaPorte would later turn his competitive urges to the desert, winning the famed Baja 1000 3 times riding for Kawasaki. Then he moved back to Europe for much of the 90s, winning a stage at the Dakar Rally in 1992 while riding for Cagiva. One of the most versatile ever, Danny LaPorte was inducted into the AMA Hall of Fame in 2002. And we honor the past for this sport, 50 years deep, but we've also got some exciting news coming for the future. It actually started at the 2020 Daytona Supercross, a meeting between MX Sports Pro Racing, who runs this series, and Feld Motorsports, who runs Monster Energy Supercross. And then that blossomed into a necessary partnership when they both had to work together to get the season in during the pandemic in 2020. And the cooperation that both sides fostered in that time of crisis is now manifesting into coming together of both Supercross and Motocross to grow the sport together going forward.
Kerry and team were instrumental in us being able to move back pro motocross, finish the Supercross season, and then go on. And MX Sports was able to finish the pro motocross season in 2020. So that was really the beginning of this relationship. And then as we got to work closer together, we realized we had way more in common than we had differences. So our media rights were coming up, and MX Sports media rights were coming up a year prior to ours. So that really was the first big step in working together, was going to market with one media package. And it really blossomed into what you see now with the Super Motocross World Championship. So we're just happy to be here. And there's been a lot of focus on these final 3 events, the 2 playoff rounds and the World Championship round. But really, I think the overall message would be that this is truly an overarching partnership across all 31 events, not just those three events at the end, across all 31 events, as well as just across the Supercross and motocross racing community and industry.
Yeah, for the last 14 years since we've been managing motocross, we've been on these parallel paths, Supercross and motocross, and we have the same teams, same riders, for the most part, a lot of the same sponsors, and everything's been duplicated. And so by coming together, we can think as one, we can service the riders better, we can bring our rule book together, we can bring our officials together, we can service our sponsors better, and bring the best of both series and make it feel and work as one long season.
Yeah, the teams and riders have been extremely positive. I think it's natural. They've always raced Supercross and then went right into the motocross season without the 2 producers, promoters of either sport really working cooperatively. There was always that bit of uneasiness, if you will. And so I think they see that we're working together and we're really interested in growing the sport. That's really got them excited and on board.
So now we can service the fans for continuous 10 months of great content, but maintaining our separate characteristics and history and our separate titles. And then at the end, really put things together. So we're excited to finally be working together.
Yeah, what you'll see next year, the Monster Energy Supercross Championship will continue as it always has, and the same thing for this Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, and then an additional 3 races at the end of the year will crown the Super Motocross World Champion, and they've talked about a $10 million total prize purse, and that is through all the races from January all the way to when that Super Motocross Championship ends. So all the positions, all the races, all year long will have a lot more purse money and prize money than before. That's one of the benefactors of working together. It's kind of weird that it took this long,
Extra
but here we are.
$10 million? I'm thinking
that?
I may need to get back in the game, start training again.
Woo. You just said you were 51 years old, Fro.
Yeah, but I don't do it for the money. I never did it for the money.
Okay, it's for the passion.
I'll do it for the money now.
Yeah, you're admitting that. Yeah, I like it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's on the line for these guys this season, and it's probably going to be in the 7 figures if you win this championship, and it is between Chase Sexton and Eli Tomac. Sexton got the drop, ended the win streak for Tomac at our last race at Washougal, and we look forward to a rematch today.
Yeah, Sexton, he has been on fire this season, really maturing. Spoken about how every now and then he seems to make a little mistake and take himself out of the championship with that part of that maturing process, and as he grows, becomes one of the premier. Whoa! That was another RJ Hampshire moment here. These guys, these little drop-offs, because the soil is drier, it's really starting to push out. Right? I mean, think about on some of those clips we saw how rutted the track was in the last few years, and now it's definitely flat and fast. But these little edges are going to catch these riders off guard, just like we saw there with Chase Sexton.
So Sexton got that win at Washougal. Our last race, we'll show it to you here. First moto, Tomac was able to get by him and hold him off. About 1 second. Yeah, he had a moment there, but that's Moto 2, and he holds Tomac all the way to the end. That's his 2nd overall victory of the season. Tomac still a small points lead. I believe it's just 5 points in it. So really, with 8 motos, it's either rider's title as this championship hits the stretch run.
Now, I promised you fans watching this that we're going to talk about a little math here.
Tomac, by the way. Go ahead. What do you got?
Number 3 titles in this class, right?
You're amazing with the math.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
Okay. So let's forget that Jett Lawrence just banged out a 2:12.777. Okay. But I was looking at all the lap times, and we have privy here. If you go on the Pro Motocross timing and scoring app, you can see the breakdown of there's different segments. So there's 4 segments on this track, right? First segment, Savachi had the fastest with 38.6 seconds. Roczen had the next one, next couple, okay. So when I went through and I said, okay, if you added up the best segment time, right?
In each segment.
In each segment, between everybody, what's possible? So what I came up with after first practice was a 2:13.1. Okay, now the fastest time in this was...
we have to look at Roczen's time.
Yeah, it was a little bit off, yeah. So he was the fast, I think it was a 2:15, okay? But what is possible? A 2:13.1. So I said, okay, I'm saving this for you guys.
And what did Jett do?
And Jett goes and blows that out with a 2:12.7. So now these 450 riders, the time that is possible on this track is a 2:12, a high 2:12. Plus, they've got more horsepower. Here we see Malcolm Stewart back on the Husqvarna.
Yeah, don't adjust your set. This is real. Malcolm Stewart's back. He has not raced Lucas Oil Pro Motocross since 2014 and missed the beginning of this championship with a knee injury. Did not need surgery, but needed time to recover. Told us this morning he's been riding for about 6 weeks, but he fully admitted he hasn't raced in 8 years in motocross. It's still going to be a bit of a process.
Now, had his best season ever in Monster Energy Supercross on the 450. Absolutely incredible. But what's great about Malcolm, he's so iconic, not because he's got his hair hanging out the back and all that, but the way he rides the motorcycle, right? He's bigger than most of the guys. He's got this, this Stewart style and this flow. He lays back on the bike when he comes out of the turns. It really flicks the bike around a lot. He's so cool to watch. So great to have him back here in Pro Motocross.
And we had a teammate on the Rockstar Husqvarna who's back also. That's Dean Wilson. First motocross race of the year for him after this big crash.
Oh, right side of your screen there. He goes in, and what happens is when he crashed, he lands on the foot peg. And these foot pegs are really sharp.
Yeah,
okay?
It's knives,
and he found out just how sharp that was, like a bear claw that got him there on his keister. So he's back.
Dean's been beat up a lot through the years, multiple ACL surgeries, for example, but he told me that was the worst pain and situation he ever had to deal with. Send it back down to Jason Thomas.
I'm down here with Nathan Ramsey from Rockstar Husqvarna. You're back to almost full strength this weekend. You see Shane McElrath depart the team, but you get Malcolm Stewart and you get Dean Wilson back. Talk to us about that. I know there's been a lot of work put in to get those two back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's super exciting to have both Dean and Malcolm back with the team. And, you know, they've been putting in a lot of work down at the Baker factory, but this is the next step. Get out there and race. It's kind of the next progression to trying to be ready. So I think this race will be a step in the right direction. We just want to keep building.
Well, guys, I don't know if you've seen this weekend, but there are so many Malcolm Stewart fans here. Maybe one of the most personable riders, and it's good to have him back.
Yeah, you throw him and Wilson together. Yeah, they're outsized personalities for sure, and definitely the fans appreciate that. So they're back, but I'll tell you who else is back. Ken Roczen's back when you go to Unadilla. It doesn't really matter how his season is going. You get to this track, and he goes next level. Yeah, fastest in qualifying session 1 and now 2.
He look how smooth he is. It's like he's barely even turning the
Well, that's okay. I think that might be a bit exaggerated there.
first round of qualifying, Roczen was your quickest, a 2:14.5, and you see right now it's a 2:15.1 is the quickest one.
Showing you Christian Craig here because he went down and actually exited the first practice a couple of laps early. And here's what happened. I saw his jersey was all muddy.
I haven't seen it.
No, me neither.
Oh! Oh, that is not good right there. And that is that little step up. The takeoff is a little flat. So when you come over it with a lot of speed, you don't really land on the downside. You kind of just, and this section right here, this double right here, is you come over the top, and he caught one of those edges. He was a little bit sideways, so when he clipped the top of that, it just flung him. Yeah, he definitely went for a ride, but looks like he's all right. I mean, looks fine on the bike right now. Doesn't look like he's favoring anything. And right now we've got him as 8th quickest in this round.
Yeah, I was happy to see that. That means he mustn't be that beat up if he could still be 8th fastest on track. Craig's had a solid season, and we were talking earlier about, we believe it's between he and Justin Cooper for the final spot, Team USA Motocross of Nations. But anyway, Roczen has won the last 4 motos that they've raced at this track, 2019 and 2021. We didn't race here in 2020 with the pandemic, so this is impressive, the record he's put together. Let's send it back. What do you think, JT?
Yeah, we're just going to add to the fact he won here last year, a 1-1 impressive performance, and it seems like the weather is one of the biggest factors for Ken Roczen, and we are having perfect weather. I think the high is 74, 75 today, so if you're looking for some sort of revitalization from Ken Roczen, it's the perfect setup for it.
Well, and JT, you're down there on the track, right? It doesn't seem to be as deep and muddy, rutted, like definitely. So if the temperature's cooler and the track is, let's say, flatter, a little bit easier, his outright speed can just shine.
Well, I give up on trying to predict what Ken Roczen's going to do or not do. It's pretty much a fool's errand at this point. But, yeah, he looks great so far. So, like you said last night, he can just wake up and decide to win today, and nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah, maybe that's the day.
There was no stopping him last year. I'd say the only rider who's even close on speed was Aaron Plessinger. Then Plessinger went for a wild ride, almost a backflip when he landed on one of the jumps. And then Roczen was free to cruise last year.
Yeah, and so speaking of cruising, right, so we were on Ken from around the first turn area, and you saw him kind of cruising around at a very slow pace, looking behind him. So what he's doing is he's trying to get a gap between anybody in front of him, okay? So he's looking behind him to make sure there are no other riders. Then when you jump down into gravity cavity, when you come out, that's where essentially the timing starts for the lap. That's the finish line. So he wants to make sure that he has a huge gap with no riders in front of him so he can drop the hammer and go nail a fast lap. That's how it's done, because if you have anybody else in front of you, like you got a rider right here, a couple of them, so either if you can't take the line you want, or let's say you drop down the wall and you catch this rider at the bottom of this left-hand turn and he's going slower than you, well, there goes your fast lap. So there's a real art to it, and Ken, being from Germany, starting in the World Motocross Championship, they were conditioned to that from a very young age, and I think that that's one of the reasons why you see Ken, when it comes to qualifying laps, he has that ability to drop a fast lap.
He might try to drop this 2:15.1 down into the 2:14s. Hey, we know at least a 2:13.1 by your calculations is possible. We saw a 2:12 from Jett Lawrence. What
Jett's
can Roczen
calculations.
throw down? Yeah.
He says, I beg to differ. Let's go 2:12.
Well, he's Jett. He's breaking all barriers there. Sound barriers, mathematical barriers.
Okay, so he's got a rider there. Oh, so he had to switch up his line a little bit.
It's Bertine on the two-stroke, actually. He's trying to get around, and he was not able to top his best time. So he's still on top, but it's still a 2:15.1. So caught a quick glimpse of Dylan Ferrandis, actually, who was cruising around as Roczen went by him. So we have last year's champion back in action for the first time this season. There he is. Great job. I'm going to start producing from the booth, as they say. There is Ferrandis on the number 1. Did not get to see this number 1 plate on track until now. Injured his thumb. The timing's horrible. Press day before round 1.
He's another rider that has, he's our reigning champion. He's got a really aggressive technique. He slides the bike around. He's really loose. His feet comes off the pegs in the air a lot of the times. And I don't know if it maybe the power of the hair, the mullet.
Oh, is that
got
what it
that
is?
going? Maybe it's like, maybe that's part of the whole
Well, looking at your setup, you must think so, because you're going for it right now. Starting to grow yours out.
Oh, I got a little mini Ferrandis mullet going in the back. I would probably have to not cut my hair for 2 years to match what he's got going there. But spoke to him yesterday. Jason and I spent some time. Spent some time talking to him, and he's just stoked to be back, And I mean, you earn that number 1 plate, and it's a proud moment when you get out there. I mean, you're the reigning champion, and he hasn't really got to ride with it until now.
So he injured his thumb, and he told us yesterday it's not 100% strength-wise. Pain is okay. He feels really fit. You almost went by Roczen there. Wow.
Yeah, Roczen gave us a little style there. Ferrandis, little mistake. That'll cost him. That's probably half a second mistake right there. Just that little bit. And when you look at it, the difference between first and second right here is 0.4 of a second. And Ferrandis at a 2:16 flat. Yeah, so, I mean, he's a second off of the fast time right now. And you never know if that little bobble right there where he high-sided just a little bit, got his weight to the outside of the bike, if that'll cost him, or if he can make it up here in this last half a lap.
Oh, there's McElrath now, part of the Muck-Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team. He was the fill-in for Wilson and Stewart, but now that they're back, he's found a new ride with Club MX. Just picking himself up off the ground there. But the big story is Ferrandis getting the number 1 back in it. Where will he stand? He told us yesterday he doesn't know. He'd like to be a top 5 or podium guy, but he really has no idea yet. And again, he said that thumb is not 100% strength-wise.
Yeah, so let me break it down for you. These riders, champions, they come here to win, okay? I was talking to Ryan Dungey this morning when he was walking in. I said, hey, how's it been going? This like, I'd just like to be a little closer to the front.
That's it, bro.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we're bred. That's how you become champion. That's the mindset that you have. And, I mean, I think a day like today, I think Dungey could be one of our guys, too. A little bit off right now, 2:16.4.
I'm looking at the chart on our left side here, and it shows Eli Tomac. There he goes, clocking in a 2:14.84. But then Anderson, 2:14.9 for Tomac, 2:14.84 for Anderson. So Tomac on the last lap briefly took the top spot, and then Anderson by 0.06 is going to take the top time away in this session. What did Roczen have in session 1?
Yeah, Q1, it was a 2:14.5. So when you bring all the times together, that's what's going to give you your fastest qualifier from qualifier 1 and qualifier 2 to blend them together.
So it'll still be Roxon's time that should hold up here.
I mean, I think we're done
2:14,
here.
yeah. 2:14.8. So Anderson's going to be the fastest rider in this session, just getting Tomac and Roczen. But the first session time for Roczen, it might just hold up.
Yeah, and they're going to, Roczen's going to go back to the HRC Honda rig. It's going to be pumped, fast time. And then they're going to tell him that Jett went out and did a 2:12.
Same truck. They got it already written on the dry erase board in there.
Yeah.
How the heck? That's unbelievable.
Jett,
so he was over.
Jett just walks over the 450 truck. Hey, congrats on that fast time in the 450.
Yeah.
Eating a sandwich.
Even get 2:13 or no, not 2:12?
Wasn't feeling it.
Couldn't even get.
Some of the lines must have went away.
It's unbelievable. So Jett Lawrence 2 seconds faster than everyone, including our 450s today. We'll keep on rolling 4 straight weekends to crown our champions in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Next week, August 20th, the Budds Creek National from Mechanicsville, Maryland, about a half hour south of Washington, D.C. We'll be racing on Saturday, starting out 1 o'clock Eastern time, and 4 straight live hours of motos on MAV TV there as we get ready for the stretch run in Pro Motocross.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. With a nationwide network of parts and care, Napa helps you get up and go. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
So, I believe Ken Roczen will end up being our Monster Energy fastest qualifier, powered by Marabido, and he'll be back along with the rest of the field and see if that speed translates to racing starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time, 4 straight hours here on a Saturday afternoon. So your Monster Energy fast qualifier powered by Marabido. It's Ken Roczen. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas.
Ken Roczen, we've missed you up here. Really great practice so far today. You went 1-1 here last year. Is it something about Unadilla, or are you just feeling good today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like Unadilla. The last couple of years have been really good for me. I like this type of dirt. With the clay, the ruts that have hold up and stuff like that. So it's a little bit drier today than what we're used to from the previous years in Unadilla, but overall I just feel good. I went back to my last year's setup in general, which I feel a lot more comfortable on the bike, so that helps me out a lot. And you know, I have a couple of good practice here today. I feel like every time I did a lap, I got messed up. Actually, my fastest one in the second one, I almost crashed over a jump, and but made it work. You know, I just want to keep a cool head. It was good to get a good practice in, and going to take that momentum into the motos and see what we can do. Obviously, the weather's beautiful today, and I enjoy this track.
Well, Ken Roczen trying to make it 3 in a row here at Unadilla, and honestly, guys, I think the sport's a little bit better when Ken Roczen's at his best.
Okay, so his time is impressive. But we mentioned that Jett Lawrence edged him by 2 whole seconds. He's faster than anyone, including the 250 and 450 riders. Kenny got held up a little bit, though.
Hey, made a little mistake. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, there were times back in the '90s where Carmichael would go out on his 125, and they'd come back and they go, "Oh, Carmichael turned this lap time." I said, "Great, he's not in the 250 class, so I don't have to worry about that."
Okay,
true story.
We'll make a look at it. So as you get a look at what the track or the outside of the track looks like, we can talk about how the track has developed. This is a hot topic for you, Fro, to watch how a motocross track develops from the early mornings of practice all the way through the afternoon, and we go racing, and we caught up to a couple different people in the pits for their take on it.
The concept of how a track goes from so smooth to become so rough is something most people don't even think about, but you realize that all that damage is being done by the tires that Dunlop makes. And it's just, you have physics involved, obviously, a motorcycle suspension going up and down. You have a tire turning that's an aggressive pattern of hard knobs that are digging and churning the dirt. You have sections of the track that have softer dirt, and you have harder dirt, so the softer dirt digs away more easily.
First of all, we started with like the brake bump start development. You know, it's basically the force of the bike. The riders come very aggressive in the corners, and basically the braking start pushing the front end down, and the rear wheels gets light, and that start actually acting like a scoop, start driving and dragging all the dirt up, and start developing a bump, and then also when they accelerate, they kind of go behind and roost on it, and it kind of makes like a little bump in there, and that's how everything developed, and all start with the braking. To me, that's how the bumps and everything on the track gets rougher.
So my point of view of how the track gets so rough throughout the day is obviously all the bikes are on the track. That's a lot of bikes spinning around, and what I think it is the rear wheel, every time someone accelerates, they're almost making a divot in the ground, right? And everyone has different acceleration points. Some people accelerate early coming out of a corner, some people accelerate later, and also a lot of clutch use. So really, I feel like it's the rear tire that's making the track so rough, because it's every time someone gasses it, it's making a little hole. And think about that, thousands and thousands of times going around the track. I think that's what makes it rough. It's kind of crazy how much a track can convert from the morning to middle of the day. It's a huge change, and that's my point of view.
Yeah, and think about it, this turn that we had that we were focusing on the POV, 7,000 or 8,000 times a motorcycle will go through there today. And that's how the track gets rough.
That'll make a big difference. Man, it's also had this drone. Look at how many people are here today. That is awesome. And we're just about done with our Fast Lap qualifying show. Keep watching racing here on MAV TV. Don't forget the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series coming up from Florence Speedway in Union, Kentucky. That is tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, our racing here, Pro Motocross, 1 o'clock, starting here on a Saturday afternoon. Should be great racing, amazing title fight in the 450 class, and some great riders coming back from injury. For Jeff Emig and Jason Thomas, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you this afternoon at 1.
You don't need the spark plug capable of delivering 10,000 horsepower. You probably don't need the plug that pushes a ton of steel 300 miles per hour. So you don't need the official spark plug of the NHRA. But there's a big difference between need and want. E3 Diamond Fire technology maximizes the fuel burn for more power at better